Toyota 4Runner owners, are you due for your 60,000 mile major service? You can have the confidence to do the work yourself at home, and the peace of mind knowing it was done correctly without skipping vital steps or adding extras that aren't needed. Now, this video is an addendum to my 30K service video, which covers almost all the steps you need at 60K, except this time we're adding an automatic transmission fluid change. This is my parents' 2018 Toyota 4Runner SR5 that we're going to be working on today that's about to hit 60,000 miles. Quick disclaimer, this is all at your own risk. We are kind of beyond just doing an oil change at this point, but this is still manageable for a DIY dork like me. And you, why not? And after the service is done, keep watching because we're gonna break down a magically insane service quote that my dad got for the 60,000 mile service from our local Toyota dealership. It has 3 service tiers, the top one being $2,000, and it still skips vital steps that's on Toyota's own checklist, and it adds a bunch of crazy stuff. Also, special thanks to my channel sponsor, Techron Fleet Fuel System Cleaner. You're going to get the chance to win some Techron for yourself. More info on that giveaway later in the video. Let's go. Now, my 30,000 mile major service video covers most of these steps, so we're gonna jump right to the automatic transmission fluid drain and fill. If you're doing the full job and following along after this video wraps, jump right to the 30K service video and continue the job from there, and you'll be good to go.
For a transmission fluid change, you'll need the following parts. Up to 6 quarts of Toyota ATF WS fluid. If you check your 4Runner's owner's manual, it specifically states, using transmission fluid other than Toyota genuine ATF WS may cause deterioration in shift quality, locking up of the transmission accompanied by vibration, and ultimately damage to your vehicle's transmission. You'll also need a new overflow plug gasket and drain plug gasket. And finally, you'll need a fill plug O-ring. For tools, you'll need a jack and jack stands, a drain pan or a 10-quart mixing bucket for catching and measuring how much fluid drains out, metric sockets, a wrench and a torque wrench, a 5mm Allen bit socket, a fluid transfer pump, a small magnetic level, and either a small piece of wire or an OBD device with live data.
I'm gonna be showing you all how to do this job using an OBD device like this one. This is from Launch. Now, there is a way to do this whole job without any scanner. You actually use a small piece of wire, and that kind of puts your 4Runner in fluid check mode. Now, I didn't feel comfortable doing it this way because it just seemed more complicated, but if you do wanna see how to do it, I will link to a video from the Car Care Nut, and he shows you how to do this job in a different way using that method. Beyond the link to this tool, I'll also have a link to my full Amazon storefront that has a collection of all of my favorite automotive tools that are available on Amazon.
Lift your 4Runner and secure it on jack stands on all 4 corners. Use a small level and make sure the transmission is perfectly level. The transmission needs to be level to accurately check the fluid levels after refill. Remove the fill plug with a 24mm socket.
It's right here. It's right here. Here it is.
You don't want to drain the fluid before you know that you can put new fluid in.
Dad got the fill plug out, so now we can drain the old fluid. This is our drain port right here, and this is our overflow that we'll mess with later.
Remove the drain plug with a 14mm socket and drain the fluid into a mixing bucket.
That's an interesting smell. It's kind of sweet. Don't eat it.
Allow it to drain fully till there's only a few drops.
We drained just over 3 quarts of old fluid. So when we put the new stuff in, we're gonna wanna do a half a quart more than that. So we're gonna do almost 4 quarts just to be safe. Now from here, filling up the transmission and setting your level, that's where things get more technical, even with using specialty tools, but I am referencing an official Toyota service manual for reference. Now, let's get fluid back in this thing so it doesn't, disintegrate and explode and cost you money. You don't want that, right? Okay.
Reinstall the main drain plug with the new gasket. Torque to 15 foot-pounds. Use a fluid transfer pump to fill the transmission with new Toyota ATF WS fluid. At this point, you want it overfilled so you can set the final fluid level in the next step. You can either add an extra half quart above what you drained out, or remove the overflow plug and fill it until a lot of fluid starts coming out of it.
Okay, cool. We're about to here, so that will be good. So now we can put our fill plug back in, but we're not using the new O-ring yet, and we're not torquing anything, because we're probably gonna be, we might have to open it up again. Probably won't, but Yeah.
At this point, I used the 5mm hex bit and cracked the overflow plug loose, and then tightened it again, but only finger tight. When we set our fluid level later, I'll swap to a new gasket.
Hey, if you guys are enjoying this video, hit that like and subscribe button for more DIY and adventure videos. Help my channel, Jason Explains Things, reach 100,000 subscribers in 2024. And hey, while you're at it, leave a comment, let me know the craziest thing a dealership or a maintenance shop tried to pull over on you, and we'll save our story about this car for the end of the video. It's not a car, it's a 4Runner. What am I saying? So it's time to set our automatic transmission fluid level. This illustration from the Toyota service manual explains it pretty clearly. We overfilled our transmission essentially on purpose, right? Then we're going to get the fluid temperature up to the correct range, which according to the service manual is 104 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 to 45 degrees Celsius. Once we're in that range, we then crack open the overflow plug, and then we allow the fluid to drain out of that, kind of flow out quickly to begin with, then it'll just slowly trickle, and that's when you close it up. While we do that, that's when we will replace the crush washer. So we're now ready to start up the engine, and we're going to plug in our OBD2 device so we can read our transmission temperatures live and with technology. So this device is less than intuitive. Let me show you how to get live data of your automatic transmission fluid temperature. Diagnostics. Diagnostics for Toyota. There we go. 16-pin DLC North America. We got no smart key on this. System selection, powertrain, engine and ECT. YARP. Read data stream, and there's a whole bunch of things. We go down to AT oil temp 1 and 2. We're ready.
The transmission can warm up quickly, so be ready to work fast. Have all your tools lined up and ready to go. Start the engine and slowly shift from park to drive, slowly cycling through all the gears, including shifting from 1st to 5th manually. Repeat this until you're in the correct temp range.
I want both of them to be over 104 and both under 113. That's what we're gonna wait for.
We ended up cycling through the gears several times to warm up the transmission. Once you reach 104 degrees Fahrenheit, it's time to remove the overflow plug.
105, 111.
Okay.
Fluid will come out fast at first. Once it slows down to a trickle, your level is correct.
I'm ready.
Install the overflow plug with a new gasket and turn off the engine.
Okay, here we go.
106, 109.
I got it. Go ahead and turn it off. Turn it off. We got it. Woo!
Make sure that you did this all before the temperature goes above 113. If it was above that, you'll risk draining too much fluid out. If that happens, simply add more fluid to the fill port and do this procedure again. Once you've got it right, torque the fill plug to 27 foot-pounds and the overflow plug to 15 foot-pounds. Your transmission is good for another 60,000 miles. I'm about to reveal how much money we saved my parents doing this job ourselves, but first, it's time to give away some Techron to you guys. We have 5 2-packs of Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner to give away. To become eligible for this giveaway, do the following magical steps. First, not technically required, but greatly appreciated, go ahead and subscribe to Jason Explains Things on YouTube and give this video a like. Be 18 years or older and live in the United States of America. Head over and like the post I just put up about this contest on my Instagram at Jason Explains Things. Tag a friend in the post comments. And lastly, follow Jason Explains Things and Chevron Techron on Instagram. 5 lucky winners will be randomly selected on this date, and you'll be notified via DM on Instagram that you won. You'll need to be willing to supply a mailing address, of course, and then Techron will mail your prize directly to you. Thanks Techron for this awesome giveaway. I personally use Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner with all my vehicles at every oil change to keep them as efficient as possible and running their best. If you're doing the full 60,000 mile service, head on over to my 30K video linked in the description and in the card above. It covers everything remaining due at 60,000 miles. but you don't want to miss how crazy this dealership quote is. So be sure to either come back or just take a break and watch it now.
All right, well, it's been a few days, Dad. How's the truck running?
Very well.
Very good.
Very well.
We didn't break it.
No, no.
We're here to play a fun game called DIY versus dealership. So this, I mean, originally we were just like, hey, let's do the 60,000 mile service. I can make a video about it. You can save some money. But then you emailed me this, and I'll show this to you guys on the screen. This is a recommended service menu from our local Toyota dealership with 3 different tiers: minimum, value, and preferred. And when I looked at this, I was amazed. And I thought, this is gonna make it on YouTube because this is amazing. Spoiler alert, it's a good idea to either do the work yourself or pay a shop that isn't gonna essentially try to screw you over. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about first the minimum tier, right? We got nearly $700 for the minimum tier. Oh, by the way, at the very end of the video, we're gonna share exactly how much you spent in parts, and we're gonna talk about how long it took us. So kind of to get an idea how much doing this yourself in early 2024 will cost you. So we got a couple things on the minimum tier that are a good thing. We got an oil change, a tire rotation, a new engine air filter, good. Cabin air filter, tire rotation, also good. A wheel alignment, we're gonna talk about that. That kind of depends on things. Brake fluid flush, good. And an ethanol fuel system dryer. The minimum tier skips a lot of important things on your 60,000 mile maintenance checklist. It skips the propeller shaft, it skips the transmission fluid change, it skips the transfer case fluid change, and it skips the front and rear diff fluid change. It's not including all of that, but you do get something called an ethanol dryer service. And again, I looked that up. It's actually a bottle of cleaner from a company. You can get it yourself on Amazon for about 20 bucks. Essentially what it is it's kind of like, you remember heat? It's essentially like that.
Really?
It's a thing to kind of mix with your gas and burn off any moisture in there. So that's essentially what it is. It has kind of, you're supposed to silence your phone.
Sorry.
This is important. This is important YouTube business.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
The wheel rotation and stuff. I don't think most people would.
That has, that's you're skipping to my next point, but that's totally fine.
Okay.
No, it's totally fine. Mileage and wheel alignments. First off, that dealership does not do the alignments in-house.
No,
they take it to the other guy.
Right.
We know all these companies' names. I asked them directly, like, well, do you guys do alignments? And they're like, oh no, we don't do that. We don't have the equipment for that. My 4Runner, my family's 4Runner is at 30,000 miles, and we've already done 2 alignments. We did one when we switched tires, and I did it again after doing a suspension lift. So it really, and also it can do how much off-roading you do, or if you're like going down the highway and you hit a pothole really hard, that means an alignment, most likely, right? It doesn't really have anything to do with your total mileage of your vehicle at all. But as you look on that thing, at minimum value and preferred, all the way up at $2,000, they're adding a requirement that you get a wheel alignment, and that just doesn't make any sense.
No, not especially when they don't do it there.
No.
I mean, so why should I even pay them? Why don't I just go and have it done?
Well, because they upcharge you.
That's right.
So are we ready to move on
Let's
go to value for $1,400. Again,
it's such a good value.
It's a great value.
Yeah.
But again, they're skipping the transmission, they're skipping lubricating the propeller shaft, they are skipping the transfer case, and they're skipping the front and rear diffs again. But they do add some stuff.
So when would they put it in?
Oh, you'll find out. You'll find out when they add it. They add a power steering fluid flush, we're gonna talk about that, a fuel and air induction system cleaning, an engine coolant fluid exchange, again, we're gonna do a coolant flush, and a throttle body cleaning. So let's talk first about power steering. If you go to Toyota's website and you look up how often do I need to change my power steering fluid, it says, and I quote, There is no scheduled replacement interval for power steering fluid. The power steering fluid should be replaced only as needed based on a visual inspection by a technician. Did they look at your power steering fluid? They did.
They did.
No. They put it on this list without looking at your vehicle. There's another one that's hilarious that we're going to get to later, where again, it's just like, oh, they didn't look at it. Moving on to the fuel and air induction system cleaning. This again is from a company called BG. They make the ethanol dryer thing. Essentially, I read the description and I'll show it on the screen. It's essentially Techron on steroids. It's expensive. I haven't used it. I'm not going to say it's bad, but I would say if you use high quality gasoline, I think you kind of like to use premium.
I always use premium.
Well, that's very fancy. He's a very fancy man. So this guy probably doesn't need the fuel and air induction system cleaning, which again is another fuel additive like the ethanol dryer stuff. You could use something like Techron, which is my channel sponsor, or you could use this stuff. I haven't used it, but again, it's an extra. It's not part of the maintenance log at all. Okay, moving on. They have a coolant flush. But let's talk about the coolant flush, Dad. Do you think that a coolant flush is a required thing at 60,000 miles? Don't look. Don't look at my notes.
No, I mean, I don't know why.
Well, you would be correct. It is actually on the Toyota maintenance checklist, but it's not at 60,000 miles. It's at 100,000 miles or at 120 months. So if you check the maintenance log or the owner's manual, it will say that you should have a coolant flush at 100,000 miles or 10 years, whichever comes first. And then you should do a coolant flush at 5 years, regardless of mileage after that. So the dealership, again, is telling you to get a coolant flush 40,000 miles and or 4 years early because you have a 2018. While still skipping tons of other things. They're telling you need to get this way early. And this is based on documents from Toyota. Like, we're not making this up. Thoughts before we move on to the Premier?
The Premier
tier, which is even funnier.
Hey, there's a lot of question marks on here.
What do you think?
What do I think? I don't know, man. It's just amazing. I feel like had I done it this route, I would have been taken to the cleaners.
You would have. Again, it's just it pays to like just check these things yourself.
Yep.
It pays to read some documents and just check to see if what they're telling you is true, because maybe it is. Maybe your dealership doesn't stink, and it could be true. One thing I forgot to talk about on there, they also add the cleaning of the throttle body.
That was really hard.
Yes,
we did that.
We thought it'd be fun. Like, okay, well, it's on their checklist. It's not on Toyota's checklist, but it is on their checklist. So we did it. Dad, are you ready for the preferred tier?
I can tell it's preferred because it's longer.
It's very long. It's long. And it does finally add a few things that are on the checklist that have been skipped to this point, including the transfer case and including the front and rear diff. But it's still at almost $2,000. It still skips the propeller shaft lubrication, and it still skips doing the transmission fluid change. At $2,000, it doesn't do either of those things. Again, clearly listed on their own documents, they don't do it.
But they have all these other things.
But they do other things. Yes, they do. One of them on there is the mass airflow sensor cleaning. Not something necessarily based on mileage, but it could be a good thing. Yeah. Here's how to do that in about 30 seconds.
What's a can of that stuff cost?
Can of that, I think,
and that'll last about 100. Yeah, I don't know how many times you're going to do it.
Mass airflow. Yeah, come to my house to have your mass airflow sensor cleaned because I have that can.
I bought a can of it too. Yeah, just the other day.
It's $8, and I'm good now for a couple decades. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, because and yours look clean, and it never been done before. This is another one on there that is really, really funny. Part of the service that they list on there is cleaning your battery terminals. And what is it? How do they say it? They do a battery service, which includes cleaning your battery cable ends, terminals, and installing anti-corrosion pads. No. This is yet another thing on this.
Not even a little bit.
On these lists where they add all this extra stuff that might be a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, it might be a thing that you should do, but they don't look to see if you need it. They just add it to a list and charge you for it.
Conceivably, all they do is open the hood. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and they did it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And you would go like, oh yeah, they have cleaned my battery terminals because they're clean. But they were clean when you drove in.
Yeah. Yep, they say to do it.
You just trust them.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you shouldn't. Okay. And now for the icing on the cake. This one's hilarious. This is the crankcase cleaning service. So what do you think that is? Do you think that that's a thing where they go in and like, what do you think that is?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's yet another bottle. It's a bottle of stuff. Long story short, I'm going to cut to show on screen an article about this service that some dealerships and some mechanics offer. It's not necessary. It actually can be harmful, and some people have said that it voided their warranty when it caused damage. If you are using the right oil, if you're using good gasoline, if you're using fuel system cleaners every once in a while, you're not going to have a bunch of gunk in your crankcase, especially at 60,000 miles on a Toyota. Are you ready? We're going to reveal how much you spent. So again, we're talking about a service all the way up to $2,000 that still didn't do the transmission fluid, but it was $2,000. Well, to do everything actually needed on that list and including the transmission, you spent $430.72 in parts and supplies.
I figured that.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the exact amount. I was thinking I knew it was under 500.
Yeah, it's under $500.
Yeah.
We did it in a Saturday. We did all of it in a Saturday, probably, taking out our break. And it was not us both working at the same time. It was like one at a time, kind of taking turns. I would say we spent about 6 hours working on your truck. So if we were to charge ourselves, $100 an hour, and we're not exactly fast at this, plus the cost of parts, this shouldn't cost much more than $1,000.
No, you wouldn't
to
think
do
so.
this. With all of that said, you saved yourself $1,500 doing it yourself.
And I learned how to do it.
And you learned how to do it.
And the next time, I'm going to do it again.
There you go.
In 30,000 miles, I'm going to do it myself.
Good job.
I mean, yeah, and I know how to do it now.
You sure do. And now you know how to do it too. So guys, hope you enjoyed that. Head on over to my 30,000 mile major service video to finish out the 60,000 mile service so you get all of the steps included in this video and in that one. So until next time, God bless, and don't forget to do it yourself. And don't shop at that dealership. Wow.